Hey, good evening, everybody. We'll be going live in just a few minutes at 8 o'clock. I'm doing this on a little bit of a different machine tonight so that I don't actually have the view of the chat window up. So I'm going a little bit blind tonight. I can tell that the voice is being recorded a little quietly. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Hello, hello, okay. A bit better, all right. All right, we are getting close, less than 2 minutes now. All right, coming up on 8 o'clock. Any moment now. All right, there we go. Okay. Hello, good evening, everybody. This is DM Gallibond. Welcome to Monster Monday for Monday, the 20th of April, 2020. This is yet another Monster Monday brought to you by coronavirus. I shortened up the theme music a little bit because I'm trying something a little bit different now with these. Recording them uh, live on the stream with as little editing needed as possible before I am able to put them up also on my YouTube channel. So, tonight we will be looking at the Annis Hag. As always, I am DM Gallibond. We have special thanks out to Mo over at the Tabletop Bellhop. Mo is the OG when it comes to all things for your tabletop games. All genres, card games, board games, RPGs, anything you want. He's got all of the information about it. And if you like what we do here with DM Gallibond, it would be awesome if you could show us a little support. I know that this is a horrible time to be asking for support with what a lot of people are going through, but the more support we get, the more we will be able to do on the Twitch and the YouTubes and whatnot. All right, so let's jump right into it and talk a little bit about the Annis Hag. Well, the Annis Hag is, well, she's a lovely dear, isn't she? She is the largest of the different types of hags. They lair in mountains or hills, unlike a lot of hags which lair in swamps. And despite being hunchbacked and hump shouldered, they are the largest and most physically imposing of their kind, standing a full 8 feet tall. Um, and it's not surprising when you realize how tall they are that one of the languages that they have is giant. Now, let's talk a little bit about the lore of the Annis Hag. Although the Annis Hags can easily tear a grown man apart, they love hunting children, preferring their flesh above all others. They use the flayed skin of such victims to make supple leather, and a hag's lair often shows the sign of this industry. The Annis Hags leave tokens of their cruelty at the edges of forests and other areas they claim. In this way, they provoke fear and paranoia in nearby villages and settlements. To an Annis Hag, nothing is sweeter than turning a vibrant community into a place paralyzed with terror, where folk never want to venture out at night, strangers are met with suspicion and anger, and parents warn their children to be good or the Annis will get you. So she just really is a delightful creature, isn't she? All right, so what kind of creatures are hags? Well, hags are fae, and fae is a creature type in D&D 5e, and that means they are magical creatures closely tied to the forces of nature. They dwell in twilight groves and misty forests. In some worlds, they are closely tied to the Feywild, also called the Plane of Fairy. Some are also found in the outer planes, particularly the plains of the Arborea and the Beastlands. Fae include dryads, pixies, and satyrs, along with hags, and along with this creature, which is a banshee. At least a banshee as rendered from the imagination of Spike McIntyre, I'm sorry, over at Pinterest. Um, I was looking for some other kind of evil looking fae and hunting around for images today, and this one really stuck out. So if you like it too, go over to Pinterest and tell Spike that you like his artwork. All right, so where will you find the Annis Fae in the wild? Well, I already said in the hills and mountains. And they haunt the nightmares of remote villages in the hills and mountains, the mysterious rock that slides down the mountain, or the distant crack of a twig being stepped on a woody hillside might just betray the presence of an Annis Hag to the poor, unsuspecting inhabitants. Okay, as we always do, one of the things we like to do when we're looking at the monsters, we look at the flavor features. So, what are some non-mechanical features of this monster? Well, the Annis Hag is a child corrupter. When an Annis feels especially cruel, she disguises herself as a kindly-looking elderly woman, approaches a child in a remote place, and gives it an iron token that it can use to confide in her. Over time, Granny convinces the child that it's okay to have bad thoughts and even to do bad deeds. Oh, starting with breaking things or wandering outside without permission, and then graduating to pushing someone down the stairs or setting a house on fire. Sooner or later, the child's family and community become terrified of the bad seed and must face the awful decision of whether the child should be punished or exiled. And the Annis Fae are also known as tribe mothers. So much in the same way they befriend children in order to corrupt them, Annis Hags have a tendency for adopting a group of ogres, trolls, or other loutish creatures, ruling them through brute strength, verbal abuse, and superstition. So you could just imagine um, uh, Annis Hag playing mother to a group of otherwise abandoned trolls. Uh, they must, uh, how they must cringe when she pulls out her rolling pin. Unless, of course, they think that she's going to make them a toddler pie from it. Okay, so what makes the Annis Hag tick? What are its mechanical features? CR6, armor class 17, natural armor, 75 hit points, 40 feet of speed. So she's fast. You think about how decrepit she looks and hunchbacked and everything. You wouldn't think she's could move very fast. And then check out these stats: 21 strength, 12 dex, 14 con, 13 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 15 charisma. Okay, that charisma has to be personality because there's no way that a face like that could have a 15 charisma. Now, saving throws, Constitution +5, skills, Deception +5, Perception +5, resistant to cold, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, dark vision out to 60 feet, passive perception of 15, which is pretty good, and then languages are Common, Giant, and Sylvan. All right, so now what are the Annis Hag's attacks and special abilities? Well, I always try to find a image for these Monster Monday that sort of illustrates the special attack. So with an apple in a vice grip, hopefully that tells you a little bit about it. Okay, first of all, they have innate spellcasting ability. Hag's innate spellcasting ability is Charisma. Spell save DC 13. She can innately cast the following spells 3 times a day: Disguise Self, including the form of a median humanoid or fog cloud. And multi attack. She makes 1 attack with her bite and 2 with her claws. The bite is considered a weapon attack, +8 to hit, reach out to 5 feet, and deals 3d6 +5 piercing damage. The claws are +8 to hit, reach 5 feet, and deal another 3d6 +5 slashing damage. And so she gets 2 of those. So if she hits with all 3, she's doing 9d6 +15 damage to a target. That's a lot of damage that she can do in 1 round. And then she has a crushing hug. Melee weapon attack +8 to hit, reach 5 feet, deals 96 +5 bludgeoning damage, and the target is grappled. If it's a large or smaller creature, requiring an escape DC of 15. And until the grapple ends, the target takes another 96 +5 bludgeoning damage at the start of each of the hag's turns. And the hag can't make attacks on other creatures while grappling a creature in this way. So that's, this ongoing crushing hug that she does. So she can deal out a lot of damage. Now, of course, if you have a whole party beating on her, then um, it may not be as likely that she would do the crushing hug, because then she'd be taking attacks from everybody else. All right, so what is the history of the Annis Hag in D&D? Hags as a group have been around since original D&D, but the Annis Hag first appeared as a separate creature variant in 2nd edition. So in this edition, it was a 7+7 hit dice monster with armor class 0 and 3 attacks, its bite and 2 claws. And if it hit with all 3, it has the victim grappled, and the hits are automatic until the grapple is broken or the victim is dead. So these hags can also cast Fog Cloud 3 times per day to help obscure their presence and confuse enemies. So very similar in terms of its abilities from 2nd edition to the edition we see today. Almost identical with the exception of some of the stats here. And then in 3rd edition, there was no image in the 3rd edition monster manual, so I just used Spike's image of the Banshee again. So In 3rd edition, the Annis Hag was a CR6 monster with 45 hit points and an AC of 20. So, not quite as many hit points as it has today, but a higher AC than it has today. And once again, it also has 3 attacks, and it had what was considered in 3rd edition what's called improved grab. And that means that once it grapples you, it's allowed to automatically hit you, and it can still avoid opportunity attacks from the victim. Because in 3rd edition, they had this rule that if you get grappled, then you get attacks of opportunity against the creature that's grappling you. So the Annis Hag had a way to get around that in that edition. All right, so how could you use the Annis Hag in a campaign? Well, the 5th edition, the probably the most famous use of Hags so far, has been in the Tomb of Annihilation adventure. In this campaign, there were a group of Hags that the party would run into just outside of Port Nyanzaru in Chult. And of course, they were dealing with a death curse. And these Hags made the PCs an offer. If the PCs would give them, just a bit of hair and some fingernails and maybe a few drops of blood, they could perform a ritual that would implant a second soul, a soul of a damned creature, inside the body of the PCs. And what that would do is the first time the PC actually died, instead of the PC's own soul being affected by the death curse, this soul of this damned person would be affected by the death curse, and the PC could be revived. That sounds like a great deal. But of course, because it's Hags, uh, it wasn't a great deal at all, and there was a strong supposition, and I've seen a lot of people who play D&D, some of the actual play games, including Chris Perkins' own game that he ran, where they were doing Tomb of Annihilation, where the Hags use that material that they harvest from the PCs to create clones of the PCs that then go around Port Nyanzaru committing crimes and causing mischief. So if the PCs manage to go all the way through the adventure and they stop the death curse and they come back to Port Nyanzaru expecting they're going to get a hero's welcome, well, they're liable to be accused of all sorts of crimes, up to and potentially including, arson, murder, uh, rape, whatever these clones that the Hags have made have gotten up to. So it's like these Hags, any bargain you make with a Hag is a really, really, really bad deal. And so that's a great way that you can use Hags in a campaign, is if you give your um, party a situation where no option is good, and one of the potential choices they have is to make a deal with a Hag. And of course, as the DM, you're going to make this sound sweet and wonderful. And if the PCs aren't smart enough to make insight rolls or fail their knowledge checks in the nature of Hags, well, then you can have all sorts of fun behind their back. And then they have a whole bunch of other shit to clean up later because of this deal they made. And similarly, thinking about hags and similar types of creatures in literature and outside of D&D, you could think of these hags sort of like the witches in Macbeth. and they might be able to offer the PCs a glimpse of the future. But of course, the price, my precious, the price that they will ask of the PCs must be one that will truly make your players squirm. So you can do that with your hags. All right, now how could you reskin the monster? Well, the hags already have a bit of a shape shifting ability with that disguise self ability that they have, where they can appear as a medium humanoid or some other kind of humanoid uh, of the same height as the hag. So you could sort of play into that and just really go the whole shape shifting thing and imagine a whole range of sentient creatures that you could just take this stat block and plug it in and let the Annis Hag be a stand-in for these creatures, and and then sort of modify those flavor texts. Maybe your maybe your creature that is a an evil tree monster that lurks in the forest. Maybe that doesn't go after children. Maybe that prefers, fawns, baby deer. Uh, maybe your water spirit, prefers that uh, treasure from passing ships be tossed overboard to avoid some kind of retribution. And if you happen to have a party that's in the Feywild, you could even have some kind of sentient animal or beast that is actually interacting with the players and could be a stand-in for the hag and could have all kinds of crazy abilities and things that it could do. And it's just whatever you do, you would want this to be a powerful, malignant force of nature that could exact an unpleasant price from a good aligned party or trick an evil party into a bargain that turns out to be far worse than they realized at first. So, uh, that's just really like one of the things you can do with hags, and there's all kinds of other things. You can imagine a stone creature uh, that's sort of like an earth elemental, except with the deviousness of hags, um, or all kinds of other stuff. All right, well, like I said, I don't have the chat up, so I'm gonna have to figure out something else to do with that so that I can uh, see the chat for next week, and just make sure I'm not missing any questions or commentary from viewers. And we'll go on into the wrap up. Like I said at the beginning, I am DM Gallibond. There are other shows that I have on Twitch. Walker of Waterdeep is an actual play game on Sundays. Dragon of Icespire Peak is an actual play game on Thursday nights. Um, there's a Twitch channel where I have an archive of my stuff, or no, a Twitch channel which is where I do my actual play live streams. YouTube is where I keep an archive of my stuff. That's starting to get more populated, and I'm starting to be able to make some headway on getting some stuff up there. That's from months past. There's the Patreon that we talked about, and then also I should announce, and I will put it in the when I upload this to YouTube, I'll put it in the description down below. Uh, this coming weekend, there is a virtual convention called COVID COVIDCon, and the URL is covidscon or covidcons.com. Covidcons.com. And it is a virtual convention, and yours truly will be running a one shot at Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. So that's the 25th of April, 3 p.m. I'll be running a one shot on my Twitch channel. It will also be simulcast through the convention, and that should be a lot of fun. It's um, an adventure in 5 acts, designed to take 4 hours. Tells a rather quick story, a few fights, uh, a few explorations, a few encounters with strange characters, and it should be a fun time for everybody. I hope. So that will be on Saturday afternoon. All right. Well, good night, everybody. And as always, I will sign off by reminding you to watch out for the monster under the bed. Take care, everyone.